Here we are with the 2020 Chevy 2500 with the 6.6 liter gas. This is the custom trim package, which is basically the work truck with a few upgrades like those 20-inch rims, a lot of black around instead of chrome. And I'm actually in this particular spot to show you the four-wheel drive systems. This one is a lower trim model, so it just gets the standard transfer case that when you put it into four-wheel drive, it eliminates the center differential, and has the G80 rear locker. Couple of cool features here on the exterior. Just like in previous years, we've got these lights here. They will go back and light up the bedside, so as you're loading stuff in. New are these LED lights up here. They kind of project forward a little bit into the corners like Fords do, but I prefer those back ones. They're a lot more useful than the Ford ones, as you can just use your headlights. No fog lights on this particular package. It does have these nice big tow hooks here. Nice big fake hood scoop. Go ahead and pop the hood and check the engine bay real quick. Before we get to that, let's check out the bed. So we have the new step here on the side. It's still got the ones on the rear. This bed is just so much bigger. I think we'll talk about that a little bit later, but the bed's a lot wider than it used to be and a little bit longer than the competitors as well. Capless fuel fill, still has a spot for, they use the same setup whether it's a diesel or a gas, so you get this cut out for the diesel exhaust fluid. But this is the gas engine, so that was the other thing I wanted to mention. Let's pop the hood. You see the electronic parking brake there, which is an interesting feature, but I believe all the 2020s have that now. So popping the hood, you can see how much space is in there. Tons of space. So this is a 6.6 liter V8, which is the exact same as the 6.6 liter Duramax in chamber size, of course, or whatever you want to call it, but in displacement, I guess you would say. But because it doesn't have any of the emissions stuff for the SCR with the diesel exhaust fluid, you have so much more space. There's no turbos or intercoolers or any of that stuff to take up space, so plenty of room to work on this thing. There's just a ton of space in the engine bay. They actually keep that second battery mount for the diesels in here, which I thought was interesting. And another interesting thing is they have a battery cover here, and you can connect, if you're jumping or whatever, connect to there, but the battery actually sits right underneath there, so that's kind of redundant, but I guess it keeps it safe from the elements and helps keep corrosion down. So let's go ahead and take a look at the interior on this. Like I said, this is the custom trim, which is basically a work truck model. And pop those keys out. Headlights, there we go. So it's basically a work truck model. You get nice thick rubber floor mats, cloth seating. There's actually no storage in this center armrest, but it does act as a third seat for the front row, so you can fit 6 people in here legally. It's actually really wide, so you could probably pile a few more in, but I wouldn't recommend that. There's the door, the switches there, adjustable mirrors. With the higher trim levels, these mirrors will electronically slide out. They'll use a little motor, but with the custom, you just have to manually move those in and out. It does have four-wheel drive, so 4 high, 4 low. This is your trailer tow or tow haul mode. You just turn that dial to turn that on. The higher trims will get a 4-wheel drive auto as well, and it uses kind of the same system that we talked about with the 2019 Trail Boss, if you want to check out that video on all the different systems there. This one does have the G80 locker as well for traction on the rear. Built-in trailer brake controller, which is an excellent feature to have. The tailgate, that'll drop the tailgate. This one doesn't have the lift assist. Some of the higher end models will also close the tailgate for you. And basically this is just a basic setup. It has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but other than that, it's pretty basic. Everything in here is you know, durable materials is a good way to put it. It is a work truck model. So anyway, let's get to the off-road portion of this. All right, so that should give us a good shot of the axles as it starts to articulate. You'll see the G80 lock up. We'll start two-wheel drive. Go ahead and let the G80 lock. First, I'll try and do the traction control system, but that may not work, and if it spins fast enough, it'll lock the G80. Then we'll try four-wheel drive, and again, as it starts to slip, it'll lock the G80. We'll do four load just for fun, but it won't really change anything in this test. And here's another angle of the approach in four-wheel drive high. And now the same angle in four-wheel drive low. So overall, quite a capable truck. You saw it climb there with two wheels basically. The rear differential locked in four-wheel drive. It'll make pretty tough climbs fairly easily. With a little speed, you can go through that no problem. These tires are the Goodyear Wrangler Trail Runner ATs. Oddly enough, the spare tire is a Michelin ATX in the same size, and these are 34 inches tall, straight from the factory. So that's a pretty tall tire, which makes easy work of a lot of these trails. This thing runs at about 48,000 as it sits. It does have the custom package, but it's the work model with that custom package. The base price of this with the four-wheel drive was 42,000, but with all the other features in it, brought it up to 48. Overall, I've actually really liked this truck. The gas engine, after you've driven enough diesels, you kind of expect a little more power. It did pretty good. There was only one climb when we were towing a gooseneck trailer that weighed about 7,000 pounds as we were making that climb. It was not gaining speed but not losing speed with the pedal on the floor. 8,000 pounds is about half the maximum tow rate of this thing. Actually, I want to show you that real quick. Chevy, on these new model trucks, put these tags right here on the door, and gross vehicle, gross combination, axle weights, that kind of stuff has been standard for a while, but your max payload on this truck is 3,446. But then it also mentions your conventional trailer weight. That's bumper pull at 14.5 with a max tongue weight of 1450, 1,450 pounds. Your gooseneck is 16,600 pounds with a tongue weight of 2,490. So this tag here is pretty much what all the truck manufacturers do, but GM has added this additional tag to give you all your trailering information, which is a good thing. One other oddity is this 10,650 pounds. That puts this thing into a class 3 truck range, meaning if you use this for a business, you got to put number stickers on the side, DOT numbers, along with the weight rating, and you have to have a medical card to drive it. It's not a problem for the guys with medical cards or CDLs already, but for those you know, even like a roofer or construction guys that are having one of their crew drive a 3/4 ton truck. It used to be they would try and keep these under 10,000 pounds, but now seems like GMC's gone over that, and it gives them that great payload. It makes this truck ride a little bit rough compared to the Ford and Ram that we had, but those were maxed out at 10,000 pounds with lighter payloads by far. They were around the 2,000 pound mark, so this thing's got a lot more payload than those two did, and you can tell from those leaf springs, that giant leaf pack with a really big overload spring there on the bottom. This thing has a lot of payload capacity. Overall, really liked it. Liked the gas engine with this 6-speed automatic transmission. Feels a little underpowered, could use an extra gear or two, which is weird. You'd always think a 6-speed was enough in years past, but it does seem to need that new 10-speed. So towing trailers, we were getting about 8 miles per gallon. This is our combined, but most of that was still while towing trailers, and we're at 9.1. We get about 13 to 15 empty with this truck. In your diesels, you'll get up to 20 when you're empty, but this is at you know, $10,000 less than the price of the diesel. So there's that. And then of course the resale, it's a tough decision. If you don't need the diesel power, a gas engine might be the way to go, but then again, when you go to resell the truck, you won't make as much back on the gas engine as you will on a diesel. So there are definite trade-offs there. But again, this is a great engine. It's the LT1, based off the LT1 6.6 liter gas V8. This thing is, I believe, 400. Let me see if I can find the window sticker real quick. I'll tell you. It doesn't actually list the horsepower and torque, but I believe the torque is around 460, the horsepower 410, maybe 420, somewhere in that range. So I mean, that's still a lot of power, a lot of torque, but when you compare it to a diesel with nearly 1,000 foot-pounds of torque now, you're just missing out a little bit. Sorry for all the background noise, but I wanted to do a quick comparison. We have the 2020 Chevy here on the left, 2017 GMC. The Chevy is the custom model, the GMC is the SLT, and the GMC is the 4-door long bed, and the Chevy is the 4-door short bed. So let's check the lengths of them. You look at the front here, that's about even on the front. Remember, this is the 4-door short bed, and the 4-door long bed's there in the back, and it sticks out maybe 6 or 8 inches more is all. Doesn't stick out very much more, and all that space is right here in the cab. So there's a ton of room in here in these new 2020 models. It has the new bed step as well. One thing that's really dumb, you have the offset camera here. This side's just a light. The old one, the camera was right in the center. So when you're backing up to a trailer, it's a lot easier if this camera would be right in the center. It actually would even it out. So if you're off center, you're kind of looking down at an angle, and usually you're okay, but sometimes it's still hard to line it up. Another change is you see the gooseneck or fifth wheel setup there. They've changed it from the previous years where it used to be wider. Now it's closer together, and the bed width is also quite a bit wider here. From this point out, you have a lot more room. They push those inner bed sides out a little bit, so you can see this one's not as deep. Thanks for watching Engine Adventures review of the 2020 Silverado 2500 HD. If you liked what you saw, hit subscribe for more reviews, how-tos, and some off-roading fun.